Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday or Wednesday morning mastermind. We do this Monday through Friday, and Wednesday we do it live on YouTube for everybody so people can learn together. Today's topic is what's working for resellers, and I want people to share what is working for them in their stores. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that are working, but can I call on Harry this morning? Harry, what's working for you?
I knew you can call me for some reason. Uh, so what is working? I think just being consistent. Um, I'm consistent in a non-consistent way in all of my life. So I I I have draft banks and that keeps me consistent. I just have to make sure I get ahead. So when things come up, I don't fall behind. So consistency. What else is working? Um, Actually, this group is working. I've been very impressed with the changes you've made in the last month. It's pretty impressive, pretty amazing. Um, let's see what else is working. Um, I don't know. Everything's going pretty well right
Can you
now.
elaborate a little bit on consistently inconsistent, or you just know some days you're going to be off, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, I know I'm involved in so many things that I know the certain days that I will not be able to list. I will not be able to do this, that, and the other. So I have to get a draft bank ahead. I have to have that. So I probably won't list anything today. I might list a little bit, but I will get ready for all the stuff I do at church tonight. That'll be my big thing today, and so I will use the draft bank. And I have, but I have everything backed up enough so that it's not a problem. And as long as I'm consistently doing that and looking at it as a week long time span, it's consistent over time. Maybe not consistent every day, but consistent over time. So that's how I do everything in life. And I'm just the opposite of what you talk about being, changing tasks. I'm constantly changing tasks, but I work this
Hmm.
support for 30 years. So you have to change tasks. So I have five things going right now. I have work open, I have this open, I have Google open. So I'm doing a whole bunch of different things. So it's just the way I am, and I do it differently than probably what most people do, and it's probably not a good idea for most people.
Okay, so we have talked about this concept before, Harry, which is sort of like everyone has these tabs open in their life, like their personal life, maybe work life, maybe side hustle, maybe health, maybe you're taking care of aging parents or kids, or all those tabs are all open simultaneously. I think that's probably a very real way of looking at it. And I think that that's sort of the reality, especially now with so many things moving fast paced and people working a lot more hours than they used to. Um, and a lot of people are working at home. So everything is sort of blended together. I wanted to share something with everybody here, which is can everyone guess when the 5 hour or when the 5 day work week was invented? So it was a trivia question. Um, and I'm just gonna tell you guys, but it's like around in the 1930s, they invented the 5 hour work week. Or 4 hour work week was a couple years ago. 5 day work week was 1930s. So the reason why I bring that up is um, that's I don't think anybody here was born before 1920, right? So most of the people here, our entire lives, the 5 day work week has existed, right? So during that 5 day work week, I think we're all set up to take a couple of days off. But when I ask most people in the group, they're working between 5 and 6 days. Does anybody here work all 7 days? I mean, some people do, but typically
It's according to what you mean work. Because
that's true too.
I mean that I mean I don't work 8 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday, but I do plenty of work. So the lines are pretty blurred, at least for me.
Yeah, I think so. Do you
We were
guys think?
talking about, sorry,
Go ahead.
we were talking about it a little bit last night about how eBay is 24/7.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've always struggled with is getting items scheduled ahead of time so that I can just have a whole day off, not worry about anything, but you're still, getting those listings active and you're still thinking I should check on offers, I should check on messages and make sure I answer them. So it never really feels like a full day off.
Hmm. But what about when people worked? Did they do that? Or do you feel like those of you that have had a 9 to 5 before, did you just check out mentally on Friday and check back in Monday at 9? Did you literally unplug? Or when you run your own business, are you never unplugged?
I
So,
unplug my full-time job when the time is done.
yeah.
I do not, unless there's something scheduled, and occasionally there is, where I'll go in and do some kind of support after hours and stuff. Even then, it's hard for me to remember, oh, I've got to go check in at 7, 8, or 5 a.m. in the morning to do whatever. That's hard for me to change that gear.
Yeah. I am surprised how many people work 7 days a week. A lot. At least a little bit. Um, okay. Well, that is good to know because I think that there's always maintenance or things you can be doing to get ahead every day. But I was thinking most of the people in the group are aiming for 7 days of work in 5 days so they can take the weekends off. But Matt,
So I end up working 7 days a week and I'm trying to do 5 days and 7 days. But what ends up happening is was my hobby for so long that when I finish all the work, and I'm like, oh, I have free time, then I'm like, maybe I'll do some listings. Because it was what I did for fun for so long that it's like what I used to do when I had a full-time job and I had a break from it. I would like for fun do listings, right? And I feel like there's this mental block that comes across when it's like, hey, I have to do my 10 listings today. I have to get them done, right? And you don't want to do it. And then when you're like, oh, I have nothing to do today, like I can do whatever I want, then I'm like, yo, I'm just going to do like a pile of listings. And it's way easier to like do it when you don't have to do it versus like when you have to do it every day. But I found that like no matter what, I end up working 7 days a week because even when I finish all my work, which is eBay, like I go into fun mode and I'm like, it's eBay. So it ends up being like this weird, oh well, now I'm just doing extra credit for an hour on the weekend because I have the time to do whatever I want. But what I want to do is like the thing that's fun for me, and what's fun for me is to do eBay with no pressure. And what's work is to do eBay with the pressure of having to get it done. So anyway, I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I end up doing a little bit every day just because I'm jumping in my mind between what's my job and what's my hobby.
hmm. Yeah, that I guess what parts of eBay feel like work? Is it just the listing part?
Oh, it's 100% mental. Like it's so when I was getting ready, and this is what I'm putting into effect now, but when I was getting ready to do to go away for Thanksgiving, and I was doing 14 a day to carry over four for the 4 days I was going to be away. And so after the first couple of days I had a draft bank, I'd wake up in the morning and launch my 10 listings for the day. And then the 14 that I needed to do for the draft bank just to have did not feel like the same amount of work as when I have to wake up and do 10 and launch them live. It's just a different mental space when you're like, oh, my 10 listings are up. Now these are just like the bonus ones versus like, oh, I'm scrambling to get 10 done to get them up. It's just a mental thing. So the work thing, sometimes listing feels like the work part. And sometimes I'm like, nah, I'm just doing it for fun. I'm just taking my mind off stuff, not thinking about it. But it all has to do with the mental space I'm in. and whether or not I'm choosing to do this, whether or not I feel like I have to do it, or whether or not I'm making a choice to do it. Right.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's fair. So should we all look for ways to make work more like a hobby? Because people do hobbies for like 10 hours in a row and they forget to eat because they just like it. Um, but like work, sometimes people get to work at 9, at 9:15, they're already ready to go home. Nancy?
That would be me. I'm the person that forgets to eat, because I'm so ingrained in what I'm doing, and I love what I'm doing so much that I do work 7 days a week. But there's a reason why I've always done that, because I've always had my own business, and it's just part of your life. But with eBay and with reselling, it's different because I love it so much, and I have a goal. I have a burning goal, and it keeps getting clearer and clearer all the time. It's not always perfect once you, for well, for me anyway, setting out on this journey. But as I move closer or forward, it kind of manifests into different realities. Like, for instance, I'm thinking that I would like to have a store, like the smallest store, with smaller items with for the most money. And I know that's probably everybody's dream, but I'm trying to make it a game now. I'm trying to make it just, I wake up in the morning and I get myself psyched up, and I think, yeah, I mean, this is a goal, because my space is limited, my time is limited because I have other things going on. But I really enjoy it so much, and that's why sourcing is kind of a love-hate relationship for me, because I go out and it's grueling. It can be grueling, but I get excited when I know that I'm going out to source. I think, gosh, what am I going to find today? And it's so much different doing this full time than anything I've ever done. So, yeah, I mean, it can be, the grueling part though is just pales in comparison to what is considered grueling in a job, in a 9 to 5. But yeah, it's honing and refining your techniques and practices every single day, and it's a lot of fun. That's what I'm experiencing.
Thank you, Nancy. Bob, good morning.
Sorry about that. So, for me, I love being able to find items. I love finding deals. I love making profit off of that. So I enjoyed the whole process of it. So when in my previous career, I always would be needing to check in, make sure everything was going well 7 days a week. The amount of hours I would put on the weekend weren't anywhere near what I was doing during the week. The weekends, usually I'm out, probably I'll call part-time sourcing with my wife, because she's doing more of her own sourcing on the weekend, and I go with her and hang out. So, that part of finding a deal is always kind of the most intriguing aspect. There's parts of the job that get stressful when trying to get enough items shipped out for the weekend or for the night. And, I'm at work, I'm trying to get home. I have items from last year, which I'm not going to resell anymore. I'm putting more strict guidelines on what I'm going to purchase. 99% is going to be clothing, but we had this Jim Shore Christmas ornament box. It was 23 by like 12 and 13. So I had to find a box. Then I had to get it to UPS because that was the cheapest shipping. So it threw me off of my regular routine. And when that happens, it gets a little frustrating for me at that point. But I think, the weekends, I don't mind checking for emails, offers, things like that. I find it fun, and I don't have to ship, which is at times can be stressful depending on timing. So for me, I think it's 85% enjoyable at that point. So, but you know, when I'm out with my wife, what's fun about that procuring, I found a little Sony recorder that was half price and it was sealed with a bunch of tapes. And I'm looking, anytime I see technology and it's sealed, and it was at an antique center, it was like $12 and it was 30% off. So it was 8. And it's gonna sell probably today for like $270, right? So those are things that I have fun doing and finding, but it has to fit my guidelines, which is super small, super easy to ship, and nothing large anymore. It's just too aggravating to me at that point. So
Um, I think you sort of said the same thing as Nancy, is like you have this criteria that you're looking for. You know what's interesting? I feel like reselling for most people is a form of collecting things, except for you get to sell it and collect something else. It's like this because the more mature the eBay seller becomes, the more picky they are on what they sell. They just pick specific things they enjoy selling, and it's easier to say no.
and it might be as I get older, right? So we'll use mature in the sense of how many years you're selling on the platform, and
No,
then
I mean,
older.
there's people that are 18 that are like, oh man, I'm so tired of being an everything seller. I'm just gonna pick one thing I
Oh
like.
yeah. Yeah. And it happens fast. And then I get aggravated and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? It's just not worth it for me to, even if it's a great deal. Yeah, I guess I could throw it up on Facebook, but that's taking me out of my rhythm. And I learned that more. I have ADHD. So
Yep.
everything pretty much is really tough to keep organized. But I do know the more organized I am from an inventory standpoint, that's awesome. When I can go pick all my items and get them done and out right away and not have to go searching. Like today, for some reason, I didn't put a hat I purchased in the damn hat bin. And yes, I spent a half hour trying to find the damn hat. And luckily, I don't have to ship it to today. But those are the things that frustrate me, not finding the hat, not shipping the hat, not listing the hat. If I just somehow screw up and I don't have enough time and I don't put it where it belongs right away, I run into that issue. But yeah, the more mature you are as a seller, the faster you're going to learn what works for you as an individual. I 100% agree with that.
So I actually think that for most people, does this number sound right for you guys? Around if you did $10,000 a month in sales and you did about half profit, that's about 5,000 a month, and that is ideally around 300 items, which is around 10 a day. Because we've done the calculator, which I updated. I just wanted to show you guys again. And now the update, I'm just going to share with you guys sort of what I've been hearing from everyone. Let's say 5,000 a month is the goal. You get your items for $5 or less, trying to get $20 profit. Let's say you have 500 items in your store, and most people have maybe, let's see, 10. Let's say they have 300 sold and 500 items in their store, and they're listing like 11 or 12 a day. In this scenario, right? The goal would be to make $60,000 a year, but the maximum size of your store would be 1,250 items. If you're selling like this is like a 0.5% sell-through rate. Your 90-day total says 500 available, but 300 sold. Now in the group, you'll see people like Vincent, who has 700 sold and 500 listed. And you can see for him to make 5 grand, he only needs 536 items in his store, which is quite small. That's not a very big store. 536 to make 60 grand a year is like a dream store for so many people. And that's only 8 items a day. Right? So really the sell-through rate and the profit per item are the most important parts of reselling. How much are you making per item? How fast are they selling? Those are like the premium things. Because what people are looking for is Nancy said, small store, high profit. That's what it looks like. This is a relatively small store, 536 items, definitely fits in one room, and um, it definitely fits in one room, and you don't need a lot of space. You don't need that much money. In this scenario, actually, Vincent pays a little bit more for his items, close to $20 per item. So he's paying 20 to make 20, but he still only needs $10,000 to make $60,000 a year. That's a very, very minimal investment to make that kind of money. So also in the calculator, I added these other fields. So in this scenario, since he only needs 536 items to reach his goal, he's only like a month away from reaching his goal of that. Although his income goes a little bit higher, but I'm just using the 5,000 as a reference. You have to list more than your reseller Nirvana number to grow your store. But you shouldn't grow your store if your solds aren't where you want it to be. Got to make sure you're selling enough, you're happy with what your sales are, and then grow. But just wanted to update everyone. The calculator has been updated. Everyone was asking me how long it takes to reach their goal, and I added that down here.
So one last thing, Chris, based off of your original question, which is what's working for me right now is moving. Now, granted, I did a flat 9% promoted rate on all my used clothing, and that's really made a big difference, both in the traffic and the sales, having best offer on, and also being very flexible with what I'm willing to take, because I had this really cool Ralph Lauren kind of like barn coat. It was corduroy. I was asking like 270. Somebody from Canada wanted to buy it, which I knew was going to cost them a lot, right? Even though it's going through international shipping, it's going to cost them a lot. And I know I'm protected from returns the way eBay's new system works. So I'm like, you know what? They're protected for returns. I'm protected. And they offered 200, and I bought it for like, I don't know, $10. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to hold out for 260 or 240. It's gone, right? I think a lot of people would do that, but that's, for me, being flexible and accepting those offers when they come in, when they're being reasonable and I'm making enough money on it, has helped out with, there's been my biggest week so far as a seller, over since Thursday, I think it was like 40 orders that I had to ship out on Monday, and then another 15 yesterday. So I'm like, wow, okay, but then again, I bought a lot of like winter type items, and now I got to list some of my newer items because I know for gifting, Nike women's and men's fleece joggers are going to go. So I got to get them going up and get them listed. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Before we go to Autumn, I just want to show people a couple of features that I think would help them a lot. So in the group, the circle part, in the Make Progress Daily, you guys would post your numbers. So this is Vince posting his numbers. And Vince is one of the 2 shoe coaches that we have. This is pretty much the dream store most people are looking for. Look how small his store is, but his sell-through rate's really fast. So that small store, really, really, really picky when he buys things. So I recommend posting your progress in the Make Progress Daily section, and then it can, whatever you're working on, you can come back later and see how much you've improved. This is the photography area in the reselling forum, and people are posting pictures of their photography setup. So I recommend you guys post it in here so people can give you feedback. So here, Juanita posted her photo setup, and Harry's giving her some feedback on the color of her lighting. You hear vibrating? Oh. And then this one, I wanted to show the $20 profit playbook. So if you upload a PDF of the $20 profit one, I'm going to show you guys this one that Renee made on Bluefish Clothing. So what I'm looking for is just a summary of the brand, what the logos look like, and then common solds. So she posted, these are great solds, over $100 for every single one of these pieces. And this is what I'm looking for the $20 profit guide. Talk a little bit about the brand, the different labels and then show some solds. People can read through it and learn. And if you upload a PDF, people can read it right on here. They don't have to download it. You can, but you can just upload it. And I'm offering anyone that uploads a guide, you can get a free month of the membership. So you could be in the group for free forever, as long as you upload one of these every single month. The format is not as important as you doing the homework. So Andrea submitted 1-2 on Lily Pulitzer, which is excellent. My goal is, I'll show you hers as well. So Lily Pulitzer, if you have the PDF uploaded, you can go over the different prints. She put in here also something about all authentic Lily Pulitzer has these characteristics, which is all really good. But this is where I want the direction of the group to go, where the most important part is that people are learning how to research, because you want your sell-through rate to be really high and the size of your store to be really small. The only way to do that is to pick great items. And also the course will be done today. So you guys, I'm going to upload the course so you guys can have all of the information on how I would resell. Scott.
Oh, hey, Chris. My store is a starter level with 300 items, but eBay started to charge me insertion fees, 30 cents a piece because it's over 250, I guess, 250 items. Should I update that to basic level store?
How many items are in your store?
300.
I would go to a basic.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so Lauren asked a question, which is, you have to be happy with your sold. What I mean by that is you have to be happy with your sell-through rate before you grow. Everybody should write this number down or write this sentence down. Typically, when your store grows, your sell-through rate goes down. Almost always. Okay, because especially if you're selling items that are similar, because you're cannibalizing your own market. So that's why I recommend trying to do things that are varied but similar. So like Patagonia jacket and an Eddie Bauer jacket. Those are different enough that the sell-through rate wouldn't go down. But if you only list Eddie Bauer jackets, your sell-through rate over time will go down. So you have to be careful. So if you have 500 items in your store and 100 sold, and you're happy with that, then you can grow. But if you have 500 items listed and you would rather have 200 items sold, then it's better to do the sold method and make sure your items are selling at the pace you want it to be before you grow. So as an example, Bella in the group had 7,000 items in her store and not the sell-through rate she was going for. But she was like, I want to make more money. So should I go from 7,000 listings to 14,000 listings? I should get double the sales. It doesn't usually work like that because she's not happy with 1,000 sales with 7,000 listed. So for her, my advice for her is to cut the store in half first. Let's reduce the store from 7,000 to 3,500 and see if we can improve the sell-through rate. Ideally, the sell-through rate would stay the same or get better. So 3,500 listed, 1,000 sold. So instead of going the opposite direction, twice as big of a store and double the sales, you want half the size of the store, which requires you to really, really go in there, figure out what items are not working. So she just DM'd me. So the way I want to use Circle is, I'll show you guys. I have a set of questions that hold on. I have a set of questions that I ask everyone. So I just sent Lauren the questions that I want, which are, what is your income goal? Why do you have this goal? How many items are in your store? How many items do you have sold in the last 90 days? What's your store or closet link? What are you working on next? So I can have a conversation. Right now, I'm talking to 60 different people. If everyone uses this same system, then I can offer coaching for everyone for free because it's really easy. Because all these questions for me, I've already seen a million times. But I need you to answer these questions so that I can help you. Because one of these things is off and you can adjust it and make your income go up just by figuring out some clarity on where you're going. So I want everyone to put in the size of their store, their income goal. It's private. Don't need to share. If you want to share it in the group, you can, but ultimately, I want people to improve, so we need to know where you're at. Go ahead, Autumn.
So basically you're talking about my store. I have 472 listed, 562 sold, and I'm at $23,000 for the last 90 days. So I'm doing, I was doing 10 a day for a really long time. And now I've gone up to 12. I do have a 35 draft bank, which is kind of like where I feel like I feel okay with that because that's 3 days. That's a weekend, you know, like I don't take longer than a week off. I haven't in years. So I'm basically at a store like you're talking about. Do you recommend that I get a bigger store? Like all these people have 1,000 item stores and I can't get over 500 because of the sell-through rate. So what do you think I should do? I mean, I have a little draft bank. I've got 35 items.
Do you want to play my game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get like, I want to
So how
have a
much do you
1,000 item
want?
store kind of.
How much do you want to make each month?
I want to get to 10,000 sales, you know,
Sales and
because
how
I'm
much?
at,
How much
I'm at
profit?
70, I'm at 7,600 sales a month. So I want, I don't know, 5,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, like that would be ideally 6 because that would be what 10,000 would be. It's 40% usually for profit.
So how much money do you want in your bank? How much do you want your bank account to go up each month?
Oh, that percentage.
Forget percentage.
Hundreds of dollars.
How much?
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars. Autumn.
Hundreds, thousands.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
kick
Like
you
what
out of
percent
my.
do you mean? Like,
Not people say I'm too soft. If you only want to make hundreds of dollars a month more, please leave the group.
no, I thought you meent like bank account every day. Like somebody said that
Oh,
they had a daily
every day,
deposit of
every day. Okay, I got you.
you know, we're talking about daily
Okay.
sales. So I'm
So
like,
200 a day.
yeah, I would like because like I average about 285 a day
Okay, good.
sales
You scared
right
me.
now.
Okay, so 6,000. So how
No,
much?
thousands of a
How
month.
much are you paying per item?
6-ish because I'm only going to the bins once a month and I'm pretty much paying up. So 6 to 8. I mean,
Okay, I'll go.
yeah,
I'll
I
go
would
eight.
say, yeah.
Can you try? Can you make $20 profit an item? Definitely, right?
I'm really trying that. Yes, that's my honing in. Yes.
How many items are active in your store right now?
472,
How many sold in the last 90?
562. No,
Very
that's the whole time ever, I
That's fine.
think.
Okay, and then what's your current? How many are you listing a day?
12. I
12?
just went up to 12 in the last 2 weeks. So I've done 2 weeks of 12 consistently.
Okay, so to make $6,000 a month, which is $200 a day profit, you'd be making $72,000 a year. Your items are taking it's like 2.5 months to sell. You would need
Yes.
756 items in your store for this to happen.
Okay.
You would need to spend $6,000 on inventory. Do you have $6,000? Okay, you don't need to have it right away, but that's how much your 756 items would cost.
Okay.
Okay. It is going to take you 5 months to reach that goal if you just stay at 84 a week, which is 12 a day.
Okay. Oh, so it can happen. Okay.
Yeah,
So
well,
mathematically
in 5 months, you'll hit it
with 12 a day,
with 12 a day.
7 days a week. Okay.
And
That's
it's
helpful because I really want,
go ahead.
I just really want like a bigger store. I don't even know why. I feel like I have my store could get bigger and I could make more money.
You are in that position.
And I just had my second Whatnot show yesterday.
Very nice.
I
want to give you some more advice. Okay. So I want you to have a draft bank of 140 items. I know that's a lot. That's 4 times as big as where you're at, right?
Yeah.
And then I also want you to have a recommended 140 items that are ready to photograph.
Whoa. Okay.
Okay. Because $72,000 a year is no joke. That's a real job.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very decent income.
Yes, but if I'm going to do this, I want to have incredible income.
So what's incredible income?
100 and twice that.
Twice that. Okay. Okay, so this is good because at twice that, you need $12,000 of money to buy what you're looking for. Your store would eventually need to be 1,500 items, just in my opinion, is still very reasonable.
Uh-huh.
And you see how these two numbers are negative? It's because you'll never get there at the listing goal that you are at. So you would have to list at least 21 a day to get there.
Uh-huh.
So here's an example. Let's say you listed 25 a day, which is a lot. That's double what you're doing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would take you 7 months to reach this incredible income that you're looking for. Still doable. Actually,
I mean, this is what a
if you're with me
YouTuber
for a
does.
couple of if you're with me for a couple of years, I would be disappointed in you if you don't hit that.
Right.
Because you have all the skill, you know how to do it. You already know all the brands.
Yeah. And it's working. I'm about to hire somebody to come and do some steaming and cleaning so I can actually go to 15 maybe and then 20. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But she's already doing my whatnot show. She's my fellow dance friend. She's younger and she loves doing this kind of work. And so she's ready to go. She did my whatnot show. She sold 27 items. I was happy for her. She did really good. So
Amazing.
we're hopping over there.
I also think that live streaming is not mainstream yet. Nobody knows about it. So I feel like if you guys are all testing right now, everyone should be learning live streaming or teaching someone to live stream to get rid of inventory you don't want to sell on eBay or Poshmark, or just in general. I think live streaming is going to get bigger, not smaller. But Stephanie's asking a question. Is it bad if you list 5 a day, one day, and 15 another? It doesn't matter as long as your baseline is always the same. So like, let's say your goal is 5 a day. If one day you do 50 and go back to 5, it doesn't matter. As long as you continue to do your 5, the consistency is more important than one giant amount of listings in one day. You just got to keep the drip going. So for Autumn, like we just went through that exercise with her. For her to make $144,000 a year, which is a lot of money. That's like some doctors don't make that much money. She would need to list and sell 20 a day. So to reach that from where she's at, she'd have to list more than 20 a day for 7 months to get there. But honestly, a 1,500 item store where you make $144,000 a year is epic. That's awesome. That's an incredible income for such a tiny store. Go ahead, Jose.
Hey Chris, I guess since we're on the topic of the small stores,
Yeah.
so my whole idea is like I do like tech and I still listen to tech and you know he has like a huge store and
Yeah.
I know a lot of like of our fellow group members are also aspiring to get like a huge store,
Yeah.
but I kind of want to have like five little stores and they're all niche because like my whole like when I was little I wanted to open up a skate shop and eBay became like my own little skate shop. But then I realized that, well, I can't really sell skateboards. I mean, I can, but I wanted to make it work. So, like, what do you think about like somebody like me that's not aspiring to like be like a massive seller, but just have like five little stores, like one in Posh, one in Mercari, one in Amazon, one in eBay. I know it comes with more work, more customer service, more sourcing, but I just think like maybe managing it, like where I could put, you know, my wife in one, and then when my kid, he's gonna graduate high school in a few years, have him run another one where it's not like massively overwhelming. Like my eBay store, I'm only listing like anywhere from, you know, 2 to 5 items a day, and they're better products. And then on Posh, I'm just like all the old shoes that are sellable. I'm putting them on Posh, and then Mercari. I'm just putting like hype stuff, style clothes, like vintage stuff that
Yep.
it's not really like. So I don't know. Like,
You ready?
what do you think
I,
about that?
I have an answer. You might not like my answer, but I think that the way that you just described it to me sounds like 5 part-time jobs. It's like I want to drive Uber and Lyft and Instacart. And also I want to do TaskRabbit. If somebody needs their light bulbs fixed, I'll go help them. If somebody needs moving help, I got you. If you need me to mow your lawn, I'll also do that for you. And I saw a truck that had that on the side. It was like, we do anything that you want. And the problem is with that is that you make way more money with one full-time job than you do with multiple side incomes. And this is like extremely true. So if you look at any of the research, multiple things. Now, here's the thing that you when you said tech has a massive store, but then you also said you want lots of little incomes, he has lots of little incomes in that store. With 50,000 items in his store, that's not one giant store. That's 500 little stores. One of the reasons why his sales are so stable is because jackets, sweaters, pants, tops, t-shirts, vintage t-shirts, modern t-shirts, those are all departments of the same store, but they're all separate. And when he, as he was winding down, you guys saw, if you guys have been watching his store, certain categories have disappeared because he's retiring. So those stores, that that inventory is somewhere else now, or I don't know what's going on, but it's like he has different departments in the same store. If you don't want to have completely separate stores because then it divides your attention. That's like for example, when people ask me if I want my kids to be entrepreneurs, not necessarily, because if you're in the top 20% of your job, then you can take your weekends off. You get 2 weeks paid vacation and you can retire by 40. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being good at your job, one job, and when you're 40, $3 million in the bank because you were just good at what you did? Don't have to work 7 days a week like being an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah.
for what I have and what tech has, we paid a really, really high price to get that. I don't know if people want to pay that kind of price. I think if like it's all about consistency, right? How come there's people who are like 16 years old and they're already um, amazing at something? It's because they've done it for 4, 5, 6 years in a row. And at the same time, like if you're 12 years old and your parents drop you off at violin practice for 2 hours a day for 6 years, by the time you're 18, you're like a concert pianist at 18. But it was just 2 hours a day for 6 years in the same thing. But if you had your kid this year violin, next year cello, next year clarinet, or you know what, you're gonna play 5 different instruments. It would be really hard for that kid to get good at it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I like your idea of multiple small incomes, but the way that you just described it is harder to do than what tech did.
yeah. I guess that like you would be the perfect person to ask. I guess more so, I'm just kind of like more afraid of just having all my eggs in one basket, like
Yeah.
eBay. I want to diversify, and like how when you lost your store on eBay
No,
and you had to pivot, like did you have already like were you like building these small stores uh
no.
on the side, or did you just go all in?
I'll show you. Look at this. You want to see? I'll show you.
Hmm.
I got suspended on eBay. I didn't do anything for an entire year on Poshmark. Okay. So then I started from zero. And this year, I'm still going to make 6 figures on Poshmark. And I started in April from zero. If I
Mm,
have to start over on Mercari, it'll be the same thing. There's nothing different about the different platforms. They're all the same. All you have to do is have this store right here, this current month. This is the dream store that people are looking for that has the huge income. Because this is on Poshmark, they don't include the shipping costs in here, right? This is a 6 figure store and only 15 items a day. That's not, this is totally doable for everybody. This is a small
mm.
store with a lot of sales, and all of them are over $35. You just
Okay.
have to be. So my objective is to show you guys that you want to be really skilled. Forget putting all your eggs in one basket. That doesn't matter. Like it's like if you ever heard, hey, if you took all my money away, I would be rich again in 10 years. Have you heard rich people say that? Why do they say
Yeah,
that? Why do they say that though?
it's the skills that they acquire throughout the time, right?
Apply to something else too.
Hmm.
If I have to be a plumber, the first thing I'm going to do is like go to plumbing school, become a plumbing apprentice. And they're going to tell me, Chris, you can't make real money at plumbing until like 2 to 5 years down the road. And I'll be like, okay, that's what it takes. I can't skip
Hmm.
ahead because I don't know anything. I couldn't even write an estimate. Like if you said there's something wrong with my sink, I wouldn't even know what to do. I have no idea. I don't know how to assess what's wrong with your sink. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't have any of the right tools. I have no idea. But like
Hmm.
an expert plumber could like listen to it and tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's going to apply to a different industry. Like there's so many, okay, there's an RN in our group that makes almost $200,000 a year, right? But the price that she pays for her job is too high. She wants to hang out with her grandkids and her family and be close to home. So she would rather pay the price of learning um, how to do eBay at a very high level. She's the one who submitted the Bluefish PDF, which is excellent. So for her, $20 profit is not good enough. She wants everything to sell for over $100 because she's trying to replace a $200,000 a year income, which is going to require $200,000 a year knowledge.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're good at something, you can transfer it over to something else. This is why like I've told this story before, but I was in the car business before this, and I watched all these people in the dealership try to become the GM position, which is like the holy grail of the job positions at a car dealership. All these people working for 20 years. And I watched a 28-year-old guy get the job as his first job. The owner just went, you want to be GM? You can be GM. And you just need to go through all the departments for 1 month. You can just skip straight to the top. And all like I watched grown men cry because they didn't get the job. Like 50-year-old men who've been slaving away at this company, and this 28-year-old kid just goes straight to the top. And his background, professional baseball player. The the the
Wow.
the GM, the owner was just like, you already know what it takes to operate at a very, very high level. This job is the exact same stress. There's like 900 people working for you. It's extremely stressful. You're going to have to be at work for 12 hours a day, but you're no stranger to that kind of pressure. And he's doing
Mhm.
fine. He can run the company, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
With zero experience, literally started at the top.
Dang, that sucks. Well, I
So
mean, good for
the
him.
thing is, 28, but I bet from the ages of 12 to 28, because he retired at 28, he probably worked 12 hours a day on his craft. It transfers.
Yeah.
Everything transfers. The part-time, okay, here's the part that I think is really confusing. In the beginning, when you start part-time, you start making money right away. And it's kind of like distracting. Because, for example, if you wanted to make money on Amazon, you could today you could go to Amazon University, which is free, learn how to submit a shipment in the Amazon. It would take you probably 4 to 8 hours to figure out your first time. Go to Goodwill, get 10 books, send them in, start making money immediately. But that's not a living. That's just a couple bucks. So
Yeah.
yeah, you want to have things that compound. So using Tech's example, he didn't start at a 50,000 item store. He started at a 100 item jersey store. Electronics, then he added on some jerseys, then he added on some jackets, then he added on some sweaters. Same company, different department. Did that for 12 years, 13 years. That's why his store is so stable. When you have all these different departments, it makes it a lot easier. Like I was listening to Ralph Lauren. What really helped Ralph Lauren was adding on women's. He was only men's, added on women's. Then he added on kids. Then he added on carpet, paintings, furniture. So that business is really stable. It has so many different departments, but it's really one company.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I guess now the coffin is maybe just focus on eBay and forget the
So
little stores.
yeah, I just want you to know why I recommend focusing.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And I like that last part with the Ralph Lauren thing.
Yeah,
That's because he could have made like instead of like the women's clothing, he could have just changed it to like a different brand name or whatever. But
that's right.
he just added. Oh,
He
cool.
just added
Yeah, I
on
could
to the
see that.
same company. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool.
So,
All right.
and one more thought before we go to Bob, which is when Ralph Lauren added on women's, the men's department didn't stop or be reduced. It was the same. So
Hmm.
he added it on top. That's how you compound in. That's how people don't start with multiple streams of income. They have one stream of income and they add streams of income. They don't start multiple streams of income. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
appreciate it.
the kid that runs the car dealership at 28, he's fine. Because when three cars get stolen or somebody gets killed on a test drive or there's a car falls on somebody in the service bay, all those things happen and he doesn't break down because he's already had these crazy high pressure situations that make it so that he can deal with that and move on to the next thing. And also, like, it better be perfect. With 900 employees, it's so easy to get sued, or like it's really hard to manage something like that. So you need a really high pressure person to do it. Bob.
So, the skills are probably the most important, as you said, right? Someone has the ability from their experience to be able to pivot, right?
Yeah.
The other suggestion would be if, like, let's say on the skateboards, right? So you
Mhm.
really love skateboards, and I don't know if someone in your family is very artistic, but also, you may want to be reselling used and new skateboards, but having someone, I don't know, let's say your son, or you can have someone design one. You can put those on even used or new ones that are playing yourself and probably make a really good piece of money off of that too. So you're expanding your knowledge on skateboards and creating unique one of a kind items that are just part of your store. It's just another category also. So, that's a way to kind of do something that you love, keep the store a certain way for yourself. But I think opening multiple can be challenging, even if they're small. I know I cross post on Poshmark, and I have to be careful because I learned that if I go to my computer and I do one thing a certain way, somehow it doesn't delete it, and I thought it did. So, when you start to go over multi-platforms and you start to do that, can get a little more complicated. And, I think that, I'd rather do something fun and cool than complicated. And multiple stores, I would never open up multiple stores because I think it would drive me insane. I would just put it on the same store, managed from one area, and having another crossover. I would only do one, and I don't list everything over there, but it would drive me nuts. So, that's just a thought.
So I want to share something with you based on what Bob said and what Harry said earlier, because the first tab of my calculator has what I think is for reselling, and the second part has what I think is what people are actually doing, which is like their full-time or part-time job. eBay's their side hustle. They have like goals, sleep, cooking, exercise, housework, chores, all these different things that have different tabs open, right? And all of these things are confusing because like I call these personal needs and these personal wants. And work need is like making your full-time living, and then work want is the hobby part. That so what Matt was talking about earlier with the side hustle, sometimes when people lose their full-time income, their side hustle just becomes their full-time hustle and they didn't really notice because it used to be for fun. A want is for fun usually. So it doesn't feel like a need. But all of these different things are different tabs in your brain. That's why I have this schedule set up as the second part, because you need to drag these things into the calendar and make a calendar that makes sense for your life. Everyone's life is different, but I don't think people in the group are doing things that are unusual. Everyone has the same things that we're doing. Judith?
Yeah, that schedule a little bit confused me. I haven't started it yet, although I wanted to. So you just drag over what you think, or and you could change it a
You
little
can just
bit.
type
So
it
if
in.
it's
You can
like
change it.
you can change it or whatever. So you just drag it over or you can type it in.
Yeah.
How do you like calculate that? Can you and you don't have to do it right now, but maybe another time or whatever, but just do like an example of how you would set up like maybe the first couple of hours of your day
Definitely.
or the last couple of hours of the day.
Let's check it out. Okay. So for me, I do the mastermind call Monday through Friday. Then I get kids ready after, right? Also pick up the kids. So that is from a little bit earlier. So from like 4:30 to 5. This is like dinner time. So this is the thing. This is play with kids. Easier if your days are similar, right? Lifetime. So like my schedule actually looks like this. When at work, I basically I either resell, I either answer questions in the group, or I make YouTube videos at work. So I basically do that the entire time. Saturdays I take off. Sundays I used to go to the flea market for 4 hours, but I don't do that anymore. Basically Saturday and Sunday I'm off. So now, so family time Saturday and Sunday. And between these hours of the day, I try to do things that make $200 to $500 an hour. That's how I look at my time during the week. And then before this, because I get up an hour before, or actually I am at the gym at this time. So since my schedule is relatively the same, it's pretty easy for me to fill this out. And all of the person, like I make food, like this is also like dinner time. Also, I make the next day's food. Oh, don't call it meal prep. But yeah, it's relatively the same. And then on the weekends, I just found this blog called California Through My Lens. And it's this guy that plans a really cool thing for his kids every weekend and then does it every weekend and films it one video a week. He has like 500,000 subscribers. It's awesome. But like like it's really weird because the weekend is when he hangs out with his friends, but it's also when he films. But the schedule part, the more you can recur things so they happen over and over and over again, the easier it is to make your life successful. Because think about me, I've been doing this schedule for like 7 years. So the amount of reselling I've done, because I've done it every single week at the same time for so long, really adds up. But it's nothing, I've never made any really big, huge changing. So Debbie says it looks like micromanaging. I don't know though. I feel like I'm super laid back. I'm not rushing really. I'm not as laid back as Tech. He's like super laid back, but then when he does it, he's super focused. I could work on the being the super focused at work part. He's like so focused, and I want to improve that part. But
So what I will say about scheduling,
yeah,
right, is for me, like Wednesdays, I take off from school.
yeah,
So today's a lot easier, but it is stressful shipping in the afternoon.
yeah,
And for me, I do, once I go full time, right? I'm
yeah,
going to pivot and my shipping is going to be in the morning. It's going to be get up, photograph list, ship, and then go out looking for
yeah,
items because it's going to make me less stressful. Because there's nothing worse than having a deadline that I'm really pushing it and I'm the one causing it because I didn't schedule it. And it's not like I'm going to be 7:30 to 8. I have to do this. It's like I need to be out the door by 10. And these are the 3 things I have to do. So what time do I have to get up to walk the dog, do all these things? And I might get done sooner.
So
But to do your point, since I've gone mostly clothing, it's a lot easier and less stressful doing it now than last year. I was like, all right, I'm going to kill myself. This is just brutal finding a box for this and a box for that and what fits and will it break? I'm like, oh, this isn't me, that part of it. So
thank you, Bob. This is so this schedule is what people have to do. The third schedule is what I recommend you do during your workday. So customer service, pick items, pack items, ship items, photograph, and research. Reset to 0, go to the post office, go sourcing. You could swap A and B, and that's okay too. If you want to source first, photograph and list in the afternoon, that's the same thing. But you should do this first. Customer service, pick, pack, and ship before the call, ideally. Or right after this call, whatever your schedule is. But if you do it in a different order, you're making your life much more miserable for no reason. Like I've already talked to everybody who resells ever. This is the easiest way to do it. Because like, and this is what my Poshmark lady does. If you do it in a different order, it makes it so much harder. I've tried, I mean, like before I used to do things because I thought they were cool. Now I just want them to work. Harry?
So a couple things. One, it gets stressful when you oversubscribe. That's when things get stressful.
Yeah.
Not that you're micromanaging, that I've found. Because if you put too much on there, you won't get it done. You think you can schedule out, but it just doesn't work. The other thing you just made me think of, you asked me the question, what's working? The other thing that's working is reset to 0. I love the term. It gives me something to tie onto. So actually resetting to 0 forwards that along and keeps the whole thing in check.
Yeah, you have to reset to 0. It's so much easier going to work the next day and it looks the same. So, okay, Debbie, last part that hopefully this will make it better for you. If it makes you feel better, my schedule never goes as planned. So that schedule I just showed you, I get all those things done, but sometimes it happens in a shorter or longer period of time.
That makes more sense. It was I only have 10 minutes to do customer service. Well, it might take a half hour.
Yeah.
It was the restraint of the times instead of saying, okay, I'm doing this first, this second, this third, that I can handle.
Yeah. So if you just go back to it, I'll show you one more time. That's why I call it a flexible routine. It's flexible when you do it, but you have to get it done. So like this, if you just deleted this and if it made you feel better to just remove this and you just did customer service, picking, packing, shipping, photographing, listing, go look for things, and there was no time thing, maybe it would feel better. But for me, I like to look at my watch and see where I'm at for the day. Am I behind? Am I ahead? Like,
okay. Yeah, I'm not a clock watcher.
And then your kids though, they always take long. Oh, my kids take longer than you always take longer for everything. So I'm not stressed out of getting my kids ready takes an hour instead of 15 minutes because that's just how they are.
Right.
Or you can't find something and it takes an extra hour. You still have to ship. So it's just when like you guys are seeing the more mellow version of me, but like 2 years ago, I would do this schedule. And then after my wife went to sleep, I would finish the rest of my work. It's just hard to like, it's hard to have everything. If you want everything, it's hard. If you want some things, you can take a little bit more of a peaceful route, but this is the best way I can describe trying to have everything is borderline violence. It's so hard. It's so freaking hard to try to do everything. You want everything. You want a great physical life, great spiritual life, great relationships, great business. Just like you have to be kind of a killer to get it all done. It's so much stuff. And I don't want to be soft on you guys. So you guys have to make a meaningful goal for yourself, and I'll hold you to it. Marika?
Hey, so I've been doing my photos and just listening in and like this is one of those areas where I feel folks get caught up in the min-maxing, like the minimizing, the maximizing, the minutes, the seconds, the dollars. But when you trust your routine, you are so free. You are so free. You don't have to think about what you're doing. You just know your machine works. It might not be perfect every day, but I don't have a perfect photo setup. I was just telling him last night, my photo setup is over here on my wall right now. Like, this is what works for me in my tiny apartment with my iPad and all of that. It's not going to look like what Chris has, but my items sell and my items are the right profit for my model. And like, my mornings are get up, meditate, I do my mala bead chanting, I drink some tea, and I come sit down at this computer and get started. And that's my morning. And then after that, I hunt. I sometimes eat, I sometimes don't, but I do hunt. And the hunt is like part of the discipline. The discipline is continual learning and continual expansion. So, like, this field of reselling to me is an absolute opportunity to follow your passion, and that passion that gets you up in the morning and says, wow, I want to go find something amazing. And then you do it and just keep doing it over and over and over. It's just, Chris is proof.
The routine takes over and it makes it easier. Honestly, it's
Yeah, you
like
don't have to think. Yeah.
you don't have to think. Like I want to be a good dad without thinking. I want to be a good reseller without thinking. Thinking is exhausting. I don't want to. I just want to just do it. See, now I have to go. Harry? Okay, so she calls me Baba until 3 times I don't answer, then she calls me honey. Because that's what my wife says. Go ahead, Harry.
So you were talking about not thinking, and you got to think to have your daily progress.
I would offer that you have to think less. You don't have to make so many decisions because decision fatigue is part of our worry, right? Like, we have to take so many minute decisions on fabric, on color, on tread, on condition, on price, on all these things. Make the life stuff easy, and the other stuff comes. I think it just becomes easier to make decisions and get your judgment right.
Well, I agree with that. However, to make